So the latest is that the on-again, off-again MacGyver movie is apparently on. The creator of the show is making a movie. He still has the rights. I'm excited because, well, who doesn't love MacGyver? However, the other half of me is terrified at what they're going to do if they don't stick to the source material. MacGyver is not a faceless franchise. It's not like James Bond, where every couple of years you get to have a new actor go in and try and fit, that same characteristic. There are certain characters who are iconic, not because of the character themselves, but because of what the actor has brought to that character. For example, the Fonz would not be memorable if not for Henry Winkler. Indiana Jones, we wouldn't have still been talking about him, not for Harrison Ford. And MacGyver. Richard Dean Anderson has been my idol since MacGyver. I'm 34 now, and he's still as much a major positive influence in my life through the years. He still is an inspiration. Despite being famous, he's kept his integrity and kindness. And if you have seen any MacGyver, you'll know. Even Stargate, anything he's done. Just watch an interview. So he brought... they started off with MacGyver being someone who could make anything out of anything. That's great, and it's a great gimmick. But what made the show last 7 years and still remain in our minds is what Richard Dean Anderson has brought to it. A couple years ago they made the mistake of trying to do a young MacGyver show. Thank God it didn't get picked up. If you search, you can find it on the internet somewhere, even just clips, and you'll see how bad it was. And one of the things that made it so god-awful was the fact that they ignored the source material. If they had bothered to watch any of the episodes, they'd realize that MacGyver was an only child. He had no siblings. The show starred his nephew. The last episode, you find out he has a son. I would have at least rather they have tried to make it be his son doing this. So I'm afraid that they're going to try and go with a younger guy, or do a re-imaging of MacGyver for a new generation. That's ridiculous. He's not stuck in time. You need to have Richard Dean Anderson be part of it. Otherwise, you're insulting the audience. You're insulting the people who wrote the show. You're insulting anybody who would care. And nobody's going to watch it. Do I have to remind people of the god-awful Dukes of Hazzard movie? Or Starsky and Hutch, which was a fun movie, but nothing like the show. And people who care about the show, you alienated. I could go on. If you want the movie to mean something and you want it to last, it should be a continuation of the show and what everybody already knows and loves. Like Shaft had Richard Roundtree in it as Shaft, and Samuel Jackson was his nephew. I know for a fact Richard Dean Anderson wants to be in this movie. I've watched him say it on interviews. If you don't do it, don't bother. If Richard Dean Anderson is not going to be in the movie, please just don't touch it. Don't touch it. Nobody's going to accept it, and you're just going to leave a bad stigma attached to the great show that it is. So the powers that be who are now creating this movie, please make sure Richard Dean Anderson is part of it and has a say. Thank you.